All righty. Peace and power to everybody. Salam alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak to everybody that's celebrating Ramadan. So today's subject, I want to put the focus on Islamic history. Okay, so I'm gonna try to do these videos as much as possible throughout the celebration of Ramadan in between. Okay, so I'm just gonna try to do as much as I can. So this subject a lot of people don't know about. So a lot of people are not aware of this particular title, but I'm going to explain. But before I go there, please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share the channel. So the title is Al-Hajj, Salim, Suwari, and the Suwarian tradition. So what made me decide to do this video, because I happened to look at another video, and you guys should check out the YouTube channel. It explains more in depth and detail about it. It's called Let's Talk Religion. Okay, so it talk about Islamic pacifism. So Islamic pacifism deals with being more peaceful and being able to coexist. All right. So when I saw this, I said, well, let me look into it. And I decided to go ahead and look into it. And this is when I found the subject. Now, what I want to do is I want to share my YouTube, what I post in my YouTube community. All right. So if you guys just hang on tight. All right. So let me go ahead and post it up for y'all. Okie dokie. I'm going to stop sharing that screen. I'm going to share my other screen. So right here in my YouTube community, and I'm going to go ahead and all right, so this is my YouTube community right here. Okay. And in this community, I put people speak about the jihad, which is dealing with the holy war from Muslim and Sharia law, which is the theocratic system in African countries. But what they don't and won't speak about are those who are about peace and coexisting with both Muslim and non-Muslim, such as the Muridas, the Tijaniya, and the Linnaeus, which these are the Sufi orders. But most of all, the Suwarian tradition, which was started by Sheikh Al-Hajj Salam Suwari of the Seneke tribe, whose philosophy was based on coexisting with those who are non-Muslim. The lesson is to accept the unbelievers and do not use religious coercion. However, set examples to them by being the inspiration. The choice is left up to those individuals and their relationship with the Creator. As a matter of fact, in the Quran, there are surahs that speak against coercion. So what I did, I put down different surahs, right? And it says Surah 109, verse 1 through 6. So surah basically means chapter. All right. So it says, "Oh disbeliever, I worship not that which ye worship, nor which ye that worship I worship, and I shall not worship that which ye worship, nor will ye worship that which I worship. Unto your religion and unto me my religion." Okay. It says Allah does not forbid you, O you believers, from being kind and just to those who have not waged war against you because of your religion and have not driven you out of your home. Surely Allah loves those who are just. And this comes from 60, Surah 60, verse 8. He only forbids you from making friends with those who have waged war against you because of your religion, have driven you out of your homes, and have supported others in driving you out. And whoever makes friends with them, these are the wrongdoers. And this comes from Surah 60, verse 9. All right, then the last part says, surely those who believes, the Jews, the Sabians, the Christians, whoever believes in Allah and the last day and does righteous deeds, they shall have no fear, nor shall they grieve. And that's Surah 5, verse 69. And also it says there is no compulsion in religion, which comes from Surah 2, verse 256. Elsewhere in the Quran, Allah's mentioned this complaint of the Prophet to him, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. To him, "O my Lord, surely they are a people who do not believe." From Surah 43 and verse 88, before revealing his reply to the messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So turn away from them and say peace, for they shall come to know. And that's Surah 43, verse 89. All right. Okay. So now, with that being said, there's different surahs that support coexistence. All right. So many people use a lot of confirmation bias when they say that people that Islam create wars and jihad or whatnot, and they have not studied more into it. See, I could tell that there are individuals who have not actually studied more into the Islamic culture, especially in West Africa, because they know that that's not 100% true. And this is another reason why I decided to speak on the Suwarian tradition. And the Suwarian tradition was around way before the transatlantic slave trade. Okay. So now let me post up a picture real fast. So this is a picture of the founder of the Suwarian tradition. Okay. That's a picture of him. Well, that's a drawing rather. Now I want to get into the sources. Okay. So first of all, let's talk about who is Al-Hajj Salim Suwari and what is the purpose of the Suwarian tradition. All right, so right here it says Sheikh Al-Hajj Salim Suwari was a 13th century West African Sanake Karamago, which is Islamic scholar who focused on the responsibility of Muslim minorities residing in a non-Muslim society. He formulated an important theological rationale for peaceful coexistence with the non-Muslim ruling class called the Suwarian tradition, which survives to this day despite the pressure of modernism. All right. So it goes on to say the spread of Islam throughout the West Africa was a concomitant of long distance trade by the Mende speaking Muslim traders and craftsmen known as the Duya. Since Muslims in these regions lived in the Dar al Kafir house of unbelievers, they needed legitimization for trading with unbelievers, an activity viewed with disdain by some North African Muslim jurists. Now, Sheikh Al Hajj Salim Sawari focused on providing a solution to this and other related issues. Hailing from the Sahelian town of Jah or Dah in the Kor Mali area, Al-Hajj Salim Suwari had performed a pilgrimage, which is Hajj, to Mecca several times and devoted his intellectual career to developing an understanding of the faith that would assist Muslim minorities in residing in pagan land, quote unquote. All right. So now let's see. Let me find an article that just mainly focused on the Suwarian tradition. All right, so hold on. Okay, well, it's in the same article, rather. Now, going down here, It says influence of the Suwarian tradition. The Suwarians articulate an ideological level without straying from the orthodoxy, the peculiarities of the situation in which Muslims found themselves in the period following the collapse of the imperial Mali. Described by Arthur Nehima Lezon as accommodationist Islam, it creates a parasite to enable Muslims to function within essentially non-Muslim society, accommodating their interests to those of the wider society, while at the same time combating erosions of their distinctive Muslim identity. Since their form of Islam was capable of accommodating traditional cults, the Daila or Dula often served as priests, soothsayers, and counselors at the court of animism rulers. So it goes on to say that the Suwarian tradition was a realistic rational for Muslim living in a woodland and forest regions of West Africa over the past 5 or 6 centuries. It was not without tension that came in part from the missionary dimension of Islam itself. It was challenged by Muslim reformers in recent centuries. Its neat compartments were obscured by occasional intermarriage between merchants and rulers, but the Suwarian tradition was resilient and useful and is probably similar to the position of many African Muslim communities who found themselves in situations of inferior number and force, took advantage of their networks to trade, enjoy good relation with their pagan hosts. All right. Now, watch this. It says spread of Suwarian school. So the Al-Hajj Salim scholarly activity was centered on the town of Jad in the Balad at Al Sudan, which is Western Sudan, but his influence was greatest along the southern fringes of the Mending trade network and correspond to the period of the disintegration of the old Malian Empire. From the account of Ivor Wilts and Lamin Sanan or Sanan, yeah, Lamin Sanan, it is difficult to date the lifespan of Salim Suwari. Wilts dates his life around the late 15th century, while Sanan thinks he lived 2 centuries earlier around the 13th century. Differences notwithstanding, Wilts imitates that his teachings were nurtured by his followers in Niger, Senegal, and middle section of the Niger River, from which they conveyed the tradition of the Voltaic regions in the 16th and 17th centuries. So Wilkes described it as pacifistic and quietist in content, implying a tolerant and respectful approach to non-Muslim, while in the words of Sanan, one of the imperatives of the tradition it is travel or mobility involving the penetration of distant lands for the purpose of religion. All right. So now let's go back to where I was speaking of about the Sunni jurisdiction, right? So the Sunni Islamic jurisdiction, which is 4 different schools. So one is the Maliki, the other one is the Hanafi, and hold on, let me pull it up for y'all, cause I'll forget. Let me pull it up and put the 4 Sunni Islamic jurisprudence. All right. All right. So, all right, here we go. I got the information. So right here is the 4 different schools of Sunni Islam, right? So the Hanafiya school, the Malikiya school, the Shar was it Shafiya school, and the Hanabaliya school. Okay. All right. So now let's go up to here. The Hanafiya school is the earliest school formed by Imam Abu Hanifa of Kufa. It generally reflects the views of the jurists of Iraq. Abu Hanifa did not compose or write any books of law himself, but his numerous discussion and opinions, as recorded by his disciple, formed the basis of the school. So, as a theologian and a religious lawyer, Abu Hanifa exercised considerable influence in his time. His legal thought is very consistent, using high degree of reasoning, avoid extremes, and lay great emphasis on the ideas of the Muslim community. So the Ahmadi Muslim generally follows the Hanafiya school of law. Other areas in which this school has a following include Turkey, the countries of the Fertile Crescent, Lower Egypt, and India. Okay, and the Malikiya school, the next school of law in order of time, was the one founded by Imam Malik bin Anas of Medina and reflects the views and practices associated with that city. So Imam Malik served as a judge in Medina and compiled all his decision in a book form called Al Muwatta, which is the level path. Like the jurists of Iraq, Imam Malik preferred to depend more on the traditions associated with the companions of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, right? And it says that the adherents of this school are predominantly in North African countries. Okay. So with that being said, with these first two schools that I mentioned, the Maliki and the Hanafiya, right? The Maliki and Hanafiya school, they were a little bit more lenient. Okay, they were a little bit more contemporary because even though they followed the Sunnah and they followed the Quran or whatnot, but they also believed in people practicing their own customs as well. You know, as long as the customs did not really infringe too much on the Sunnah, or if it did not really go, how can I say this? If it did not cross the boundary, as long as those practices did not cross the boundary and it did not make it to where it becomes very haram, then it was no problem. So what you will find in West Africa, especially, that they do practice either the Maliki school or they are practicing the Hanifa school of thoughts. As a matter of fact, the Sunni Muslims in West Africa have learned how to live amongst those who are Sufi Muslims. Okay. All right. So now I'm not saying that everybody in West Africa is like the same way. There's probably some parts of West Africa that's very strict and they go strictly by the Quran and they follow what they call the Sharia law. But then there's some parts of Africa in the West African region where they not only follow the Quran, but they also deals with the custom practice and things of that nature. So as for example, you got the Yoruba, right? You got the Yoruba people who are Muslims, but they also practice Ifa. They practice Ifa, but they practice Islam. So that would fall under the category of the Maliki school and the Hanafiya school. Okay. So the Suwarian tradition will follow under those two categories of school thoughts versus the last two that I mentioned. It would not fall under the Sharifa or the Hanbaliya school. They would not follow under the last two. Okay, because those last two school of thoughts, they are pretty more strict. They very strict and they follow the Quran. They would not accept the Suwarian tradition. Okay. But the Maliki and the Hanafiya, they will accept the Suwarian tradition because again, they're pretty lenient. They're not as strict. They not basically telling people in the region that they have to give up their tradition entirely. You know what I mean? So again, a lot of people don't really know about Islam. You know what I'm saying? They only know certain aspect. They only know based on the jihad, based on the whole theocratic ideology and those extremists who have used Islam as a way to bring about control over people. But what they don't read, if they look into the Quran and look at those surahs that I mentioned earlier, right, it would tell them that the concept of religion's coercion is haram. You cannot force people to practice your religion. That is haram. And so that was the purpose of the Suwarian tradition, to show that we would not be forcing anybody to believe what we believe in. However, they will not come and try to tell us how to practice our religion. We will be able to learn how to coexist, because at the end of the day, you still got to network with people, you still got to deal with business and all of that. So why try to discontinue doing business with folks because of religious ideology? Make it make sense. Why? Why would you want to cut ties with people because they don't believe in what you believe in? And so that was the whole purpose there. All right. Now I want to share something else with y'all, and then I'm gonna share some books with y'all that y'all need to look into. Okay. Because I won't be able to go over the books tonight. So this one comes from the MuslimHeritage.com. It's called The Song of Suwari, Ode to West African Scholars. All right. Okay. So, right here, it says, although some contemporary historians may argue otherwise, in the past, particularly in places such as West Africa, Muslim and non-Muslims lived together in relative harmony and prosperity. The positive impact of the spread of Islam on West Africa, in particular on Mali, was noticeable to explorers. And it says, Ibn Battuta, a Moroccan traveler who is renowned as one of the greatest travelers of the pre-modern times in the 8th century and 14th century CE, for example, said in his Raya voyage journal, there was security embracing the whole country, so that neither traveler there nor dweller has anything to fear from a thief or upser. All right. So this peace and tolerance could be said largely due to scholars such as Al-Hajj, Salim, Suwari, their teachings and practice in Mali, as well as other parts of sub-Saharan Africa that were under Muslim administration, saw the rise and continuation of scholarship in both the natural and religious science. Al-Hajj Salim Suwari later became a renowned jurist and teacher. All right. So right here it says in the poem below, Nati Mark Samuel, founder of African School and a cultural education project based in Oxford, highlights some of these themes. Okay. So it says Song of Suwari, the beautiful template. Voices. We follow Al-Hajj Suwari. Who else was there to follow? His life echoed his words. Where other lives were hollow, we flew his flag of tolerance. Coat of arms of respect. We live amongst others. Whatever beliefs or said. Bagayogo? Bagayogo, he showed us how to live. Kamage, when in the minority. Voices. Al-Hajj Salim Suwari. So let's take a few moments, pay homage to his legacy, Al-Hajj Salim Suwari. So it goes on to say, I come from the lineage of Sanganago, imams of the mosque of Bobo Julaso, and the teachers of the Quran, traders of gold. We took his teaching into Burkina Faso. We are known as Wagara, sometimes called Duya, or was it Dula or Duya? It either is Dulia or Dula. I come from the Kamage Wagara, first imam in the kingdom of Gonja, teachers of the Hadith, traders of kola nut. We took his teachings into Ghana. We are known as Wagara, sometimes called Dulia. I come from the Bagayogo Dulia, first imams in the state of Dagomba, teachers of Muwata, traders of cold wire shells. We also took his teaching into Ghana. We are known as the Wangara, sometimes called Dula. I come from the Tintimi ancestry, first imam of Banduku ministry, teachers of the Rizala, traders of Shea Butter. So, and it goes on and on and on. Again, it goes on and on and on. Again, this is a poem to pay homage to Al-Hajj Salim Suwari. Okay, so you can find more information on MuslimHeritage.com. So you can just go on the website if you want to like read more into this and just look up information. Okay. So with that being said, that's all that I have. Oh, wait. No, I lied. All right, so here's the books that I recommend for those of you who are interested. This book right here is The Muslim Society and African History. David Robinson. Okay. Also, this book right here is called Beyond Jihad, The Pacifist Tradition in West African Islam by Lamin Sinan or Sinay. Lamin Sinay. So yeah, this basically goes into the Suwarian tradition and just the concept of having a peaceful religion of Islam and not based on jihad or based on holy wars or anything of that nature. Okay. And then I do have an article from jaster.org. So this one comes from Ivor Wilts. So I'm going to show you the article real fast. All right. So this is the article right here. Okay. And this is coming from this website, jaster.org, which stands for journal storage. Okay. So if you guys want to just go on the journal storage website, which is JSTOR.org, you can go on there. You can find plenty of information, whatever you want to read up on. You can just type it in and it's there. Okay. All right. So anyways, that's all I have for this topic. But I really want to say this, before people start to jump on board and make criticism and assume that every religion is based on war and based on extremism and whatnot, you need to really study and be a little bit more open-minded. And the people that mainly do this are those who are quote unquote atheists. They're the main people that be quick to bring antagonism on religion because they are arguing against it and they're using that argument as a way to oppose it, which I can understand. But at the same time, that just goes to show that a lot of people have not actually done a thorough research and actually studied, what different set of Islam or different group of people, what I'm saying? Because that's very set of Islam. It's not one set. All right. Let me say this. It don't matter what organization, what group you have. You're going to have the main organization, right? You're going to have the main group. And then from that group, you're going to have the set. You're going to have different sets from those main groups. And then from those sets, it's going to be a different set. And from those sets, it's going to be a different set. Why is that? Because everybody don't agree on the same thing. So they have one thing in common. They may love the organization they're a part of, but they just don't agree with each other ideology. So by them not agreeing with each other ideology, or they don't want to be under one person's leadership, right? They want to create their own leadership, or they want to create their own prism, where they can be able to teach others however they want to teach them, and be able to have people to follow their ideology and their teachings and pass it on down to the next generation of people. So that's how it's going to always be. So you cannot assume that, one, just because somebody belongs to one organization, that everybody believe or everybody agree with each other and follow the same principles. It's not always the case. That's not always true. Okay. But anyways, I just wanted to share that information with y'all. So I'm gonna go ahead and log off, and I hope y'all have a good one. So peace and power, elevation be to all of you. Salam alaikum, rahmatullah, and happy Ramadan Mubarak. I hope you guys are enjoying your fast, and enjoying your time with your family. Okay. So, and I hope this information was very useful. So until then, peace. Y'all take it easy.